Welcome to 1995wrangler.com. Fuel injectors. 1 hole, 4 holes, or 12 holes. I ain't got enough fingers. Let's talk about that. Hey, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. It's on changing your fuel injectors. It's an easy task. You only need a 13mm and a 10mm deep well socket, a ratchet, and an extension, and that's pretty much it. A little bit of lube, whether you use lube or the gasoline to put the injectors in and out. I'm going with Bosch 4-hole injectors. So let's open it up and get started. Real quick, this is all you're gonna need. Take off your air filter assembly. Take it off of your throttle body. Take off your throttle cable. Take out the 2 10mm nuts off the throttle bracket and the 10mm bolt off. Frame brackets out of the way. 2 13mm studs holding the fuel rail in, that's gonna come off. Undo your fuel lines. Make sure that all your hoses are hooked up where they need to be and out of the way. Then you just pop those off, put your new injectors in, and pop them in. It's that easy. Let's get started. These are my new injectors. I'm gonna have to insert a hole, but the old injectors, as you guys saw, were all messed up. These are the new ones. These are 4-hole injectors. Not sure how it's gonna focus, but let's go ahead and get the injectors off. We'll start off by removing the air filter. Pretty easy. Comes right off once it's unhooked, and that should pretty much come right out. Don't want to forget that valve, so we'll put it over here, out of the way, and into the brake reservoir. We got to undo the throttle. Take the throttle off. This valve is out of the way. Also going to put that into the master cylinder. 10mm deep well socket with an extension. They hold on the assembly. That takes off the throttle bracket. And that's the throttle bracket. Undo the wires. Tuck them right back there so they're out of the way. You have 2 13mm bolts that hold on the fuel rail. That's coming off. Those are studs that go down on here. You got your fuel lines. Your fuel lines, there's a button right here you push, that pulls your fuel lines off. Just push that little button and you should be able to pop your fuel lines out. Just like that. A little bit of fuel is going to come out, but it's not much. This should pop out with just a little bit of wiggling, and that is kind of full of gas. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to empty out my pipe right here. And this part right here that I have, this fuel tube that goes to the injectors, I looked all over the place trying to find a replacement for it, because my #1 port is just a little bit dirty on the inside. Next, we're going to get the old injectors out. There's a clip right here. Don't lose this clip. You just push the clip off. It comes right off the back. Save those clips because your new injectors don't come with them. Don't lose them. You're going to have to reuse them. I'm going to take the injectors out, just twist. Injectors come right out. So you can tell I'm having a little bit harder time getting it out of there. Now here's a trick. A little bit of gas on there and your injectors should just pop right in. Just like that. You don't want to pinch it. It shouldn't be forced. It should pop in fairly nicely with not a whole lot of force. And just put a little bit of the gas on there. and the gas acts as a lubricant. You can also use petroleum jelly if you want. That'll do the same stuff. Once it's in, remember that this is going to bolt like this, so you need to put the injectors facing the right way. The last injector is that hole that I said I had some issues with, and it was hard to get out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little bit of lube on there, just to help me to you don't want to get that stuff inside your fuel injector. And I'm going to put just a little bit in the lip of that. Then gently twist and push that in. It should pop right in, just like that. All you have to do is put it back in. Old injectors, kind of janky. So you can tell this one got really kind of squished in there funny. That potentially, the way it got pinched, that could be a fuel leak. You got your new injectors in. Don't forget to put your clips on. They do have grooves that they ride in, and they should hold the injectors right in place. Remember, I told you you're going to have to reuse those. Make sure that they line up. They fit in the grooves on the injectors. If you look, there's little grooves right here. The clips go just like that. It fits around the lip of the tube and into the grooves on the injectors. That's the groove. Once you got those on, and this is all properly lubed back up, you're going to put your fuel rail back in. Make sure these are facing upwards because your wires are going to hook to them. Gently put it in. Gently work it just a little bit. You'll feel it go down. I'm going to snug them back up. Start with this size, 13 millimeter. Do a few turns on this side. I can see it moving down a little bit, seating itself. I'm going back and forth. This is just like putting a tire on. Once I feel it start to seat, then I know I'm almost done. Don't over tighten it. Put your fuel lines back on. They snap in. Put your wires back on. They plug in. Don't mix them up. Pretty much only going to fit on a certain way. Get your throttle bracket. You're going to have 2 bolts going into the intake manifold, the throttle body. Do not strip out your intake. Do not over tighten your bolts. Take your vacuum lines, reattach them. This one that comes off the canister in the back is going over here to the little valve right here. I'm going to put this one right up front. It's kind of janky looking and nasty. Air cleaner goes in. It's got holes and mounts in places where it brackets up. You just want to line up your holes. It should settle in there. Once it's where it belongs, you can latch it down. Hook your hoses back up, top hose back up, hook it back up to your throttle body. Make sure everything is snugged where it's supposed to be. Tighten it down. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start it. We're going to start it. I have a flashlight. I'm going to monitor the seals on the fuel injectors to make sure that they're not leaking. Everything is now buttoned in. The new injectors are in. Everything's tightened down. Let's start it and see if it works. Here we go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. 1995Wrangler.com. Injectors are in.